and we're looking to see how do we do question 1 from the higher level. So what I've done is I've laid out my sales. This is money terms, okay, materials, etc. And I need to separate, first for sales I need to find out my sales price per unit, and my materials I need to separate those into variable cost per unit and the fixed cost. So to do the sales, first of all, 150,000 is the amount of money I'll get for selling. In the question it says 30,000 units, so the sales price per unit is going to be 1.5 million divided by 30,000 units. So that's €50 per unit. Direct materials, well again, 660 for the same 30,000, and I'm just quickly checking here. We assume always that materials and labour are variable, but I just want to read the bottom here. Materials, labour, 40% of factory overheads are variable. So materials and labour is variable, which means it has no fixed element in both cases. So the 660 divided by the 30,000 units gives us the variable cost per unit there. 390 divided by 30,000 units gives us the variable cost for direct labour. Okay, so factory overheads, it said, was 40% of factory overheads are variable. Okay, so that means 60% of factory overheads are fixed. So whatever that is, I'll multiply that by 60%, and that gives me the fixed element, so 30,000 euros fixed. Okay, so that means 20,000 is variable, so it'll be 20,000 euros divided by 30,000 units, which is what we're selling, so that's 0.67. Administration. And again, back to the bottom of the question. Apart from sales commission of €1 per unit, administration and selling expenses are fixed. So that means administration is fixed completely. Okay, so there's no variable element, and all administration, 40,000, is fixed. So selling expenses, we have €1 per unit is variable. Now €1 multiplied by 30,000 units means of the 80, 30,000 that was variable, which means 50,000 would be fixed. Okay, so now I add all of my totals up. So I'm adding up all of my variable costs, and I'll add up all of my fixed costs. So now I have the numbers I need to put into my formula here. Okay, so the S minus VC, that formula, we keep on coming back to that again and again throughout the question. Okay, so the break-even point, you have to calculate break-even point and margin of safety in units and in sales value. So I'll do the break-even point first and then the margin of safety. So I'm using my formula here for this. So the break-even point, we have sales, which we worked out already, is €50. Okay, so that's the sales price. Minus variable cost, which is 36.67. Times Q. Q is the unknown that we're looking for here. Minus fixed cost of 120,000 is going to give me a profit of 0. Okay, so Q, when I kind of work out my maths, Q is going to be bring in the 120,000 over the other side of the equal sign, becomes a plus 120,000, and we divide that by the contribution, which is the difference between sales price and variable cost. So that is 13.33. Okay. And this is in terms of units. And you can't have a decimal of a unit as in a part of a unit. It has to be whole numbers. So we have to round that to the nearest unit. So that means it's because the next number is 0.2 here, okay, after the decimal point, so it's going to be 9002 is the answer there. Okay, sorry, I put that in the wrong place. So 9002, and that's units. Okay, so now I need to turn that, so now I'm doing my break-even point in units. I need to turn that into sales value. So I'm going to multiply that then by my sales price, so times 50. Okay, so that gives me euros, and that's my sales value. Okay, margin of safety, then I'm going to do something similar. So margin of safety is the difference between our forecast sales. And sorry, let's fix this. Okay, so margin of safety is the difference between forecast sales for our forecast output, take away our break-even point. Okay, in money terms, start off in units terms, and then we'll turn it into money. So the forecast sales is 30,000, and our break-even point is 9,002. Okay, so that gives us, and this is going to be in units. Okay. So that's the number of units. We then do the same thing again. We're going to multiply this by our sales price to turn it into euros. Okay, so that's part A done. Now for part B down as far as part E, what you need to do is use the same formula we have here in red, and we just change what is the unknown that we're looking for in each case and put our numbers in. And it's always compared to the opening situation that we're given the numbers we've already calculated. So for part B, now I'm not going to go and do the maths and all of these. I'm just going to start by just putting the numbers into the formula, and I'll let you go and finish off the maths yourselves. So number of units must be sold in 2011. So number of units must be sold. So that's Q is the thing I'm looking for. If the company increases their profit by 8% over the 2010 figure, which is the figure we have here, 280, assuming selling price, cost levels remain the same. Okay, so selling price is still going to be 50. Okay, our variable cost is still going to be 36.67. Okay, times Q. So Q is the thing I'm looking for here now. Fixed costs, no change in fixed costs, so it still is 120,000. And our profit now is going to be the original profit of 280 plus 10%. What number is it? Sorry, 8% more profit. Okay, so increase our profit by 8%. So that's B. And I would let you then go and do the maths. Okay, what you'll end up with is a big number on this side, bring the 120 over on the other side of the equal sign, and then you'll divide it by your contribution again. So moving on to C, and restating the formula again. The profit they would achieve, so profit is the thing I'm looking for this time. If they reduce the selling price by 5% and reduced advertising cost by 20%, all other costs remain the same. Now, advertising cost is a fixed cost. Okay, so it would have been built into our selling expenses. So whatever the selling expenses fixed element is, we're going to reduce that by 20%. So let's just start off. So our sales price, it was 50 euro. So we're taking 5% of that away, which is 250. So it's 47.50. Okay, minus what's happening. You have to go back and read the question a number of times here. What's happened to variable cost? All of the costs are the same, so variable cost is still going to be 36.67 times now, and we're cost remains the same, so we're presuming that we're selling the original 30,000 units. Okay, take away our fixed cost. Now, this is where I have to work out our advertising. So we're going to reduce advertising by 20%. So back up here, advertising was built into the fixed element of fixed costs here. So 50,000, we're going to take 20% of that away. So that means we're going to reduce this by 20%, which means it goes down 10 grand. So our total fixed cost is going to be 110 grand now. Okay, so minus 110. Okay. And the question that we're looking for is profit. Okay, so that's how we do the formula for that one. Moving on to D. The selling price. So selling price is the thing we have to work out here. So I'm just going to put SP, okay, minus. Must charge fixed costs increased by 8%, profit of 5%, volume of sales remains unchanged. No mention here of variable cost changing. So Variable cost is still 36.67, the original variable cost that we had, multiplied by volume of sales remains unchanged, so volume of sales is still 30,000. Now fixed costs increased by 8%, so that's 8% compared to the 120 we originally had, so 120 grand plus, and I'm going to put this in brackets so there's no confusion here, 120 grand plus 8% of 120 grand. And that equals, back to reading the question again, fixed cost increased by 20%, profit increased by 5%. So profit is 280 plus 5% of 280. So again, you work the maths out on that one. Moving on to E. The number of units must be sold. So Q is what I'm looking for here again. Sold at 60. So the selling price is 60 minus. Provided profit 12 cents sales revenue from these. So no mention of variable cost changing. So still 36.67 times Q minus. No mention of fixed cost changing. So there's still the 120 grand that were at the beginning. Equals, now the profit is 12% of the sales revenue from those sales. So the profit is going to be 12% of the sales revenue. So that sales revenue is the sales price times quantity. So the sales price is 60 euro, okay, multiplied by quantity. So this one can be a little bit tricky for people to work out. So I'm just going to continue on and finish this one off. So my contribution that I have so far is 60 minus 36.67, so that's 23.33 Q, okay, minus 120 equals, now 12% of 60, okay, if you get your calculator and work it out, I think it's 7.2, okay, times Q. So 12% of 60. Well, 10% of 60 is 6, and 0.2 is 1.2, 0.2 of 60. So that's where I got 7.2 from, or you can use your calculator to help you do this. So now I'm going to put all the Q's on the same side. So I got 23.33 Q minus 7.2 Q. So I'm putting all those on the same side, okay, equals 120. So 23.33 minus 7.2 is, so 7 from 23 is 16. So 16.13 Q equals 120. Q equals 120 divided by 16.13. Now that's going to give me an answer. Remember, this is Q I'm doing with, so I'll get an answer when I do my maths of a certain number of units. When I'm up here and I'm looking at sales price, my answer is going to be euros. So make sure you label that. So I'll do that. My previous one I was looking for profit, so the answer is going to be euros again. And the other one we're looking for Q, so the answer is going to be units. So just be careful of that. I hope that helps.